So, if you haven't been living under a rock recently, you will have seen the viral video of two West Midlands police officers who have attended somebody's home to allegedly arrest the daughter or seize the phone for viewing a social media post. With videos like this, they can be quite sensationalized. So, what I want to do is I just want to go through the video. I want to give my own kind of opinion and critique as to probably what's happening, and also explain to you the thing what the video doesn't tell you and what I haven't seen anyone else say. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment on what you thought about this video. I just want to say something quick. I've even heard of people mention about this officer here, in particular because she's wearing a hijab. I think that's a hijab. To me, I don't care what ethnicity or what religion a police officer is, so long as they can do the job. So let's not make cheap shots and make a comment on this lady's perceived religion. Okay, let's just focus on what the officers do and how they conduct themselves.
Okay, what was it?
Sorry, I don't like the camera. You can have my body cam. I can exhibit that to you. I just don't like the camera, really.
Okay, well, I'm doing this because this is my own house and I am telling
Right,
you why
that's
I'm
fine.
doing. So I just need.
Right, so straight away we can see the video's edited. All right, and you should always be skeptical about something which is quite heavily edited, what gets shared online. I would love to see the full exchange, and West Midlands Police have released a statement saying that the video is quite heavily edited, obviously to put forward some kind of message to illustrate a certain point. So you always have to keep that in mind. You always have to be, as I believe happened with the Manchester attack in Manchester Airport, where we saw the police officer kick the male on the floor. That was very heavily edited, and it was only when we saw the actual alternative footage that we started to put the full picture together. So we need to be careful about casting aspersions and jumping to conclusions. This video is obviously quite edited. Also, the officer here on the right has said, please don't record me. I'd not find it comfortable. You can record the police in a public place the same as they can record you, the same as you can be on CCTV. It isn't against the law to record somebody with the mobile phone, but I can understand why people might not necessarily want to be recorded, but there is no law against it.
To know why would she's basically viewed a post which is not an arrestable offence. Yeah. Okay.
Again, it's just been edited there, and I believe this officer was about to say something about viewing a post. It isn't illegal to view material online, obviously, providing that material isn't illegal. And we all know what kind of material people sometimes view, which can be illegal. But viewing your social media post, okay, so it sounds really sensationalized, doesn't it? You're here at my door because somebody viewed a social media post. Firstly, how would the police know whether you've just viewed a social media post? And what I'll do at the end of this video is I'll actually read you out the full. And what I'll do is at the end of this video, and what I'll do when they're finished going over this is I'll read you through what West Midlands, and what I'll do is at the end of this video, I'll actually read you out the statement West Midlands Police released in relation to this incident.
Okay, and you're completely fine. The only thing is,
Yeah.
we need to seize the phone at this current moment.
Yeah.
The phone needs to get seized from us, otherwise we will escalate this further. So,
But with a voluntary interview.
So have you seized anyone else? Is she the only child you're
with the
picking on?
voluntary interview, you'd be able to come in
Have
with
you
your
spoken
daughter
to
and
anyone
the duty
else?
solicitor,
No,
but
we'll
there's
we'll
no
come to the
arrest.
station now.
do you mind letting her finish her sentence before
Yeah.
It does have to get further escalation, unfortunately.
That's fine. We'll come to the
No,
station
no,
now.
you're not under-
the phone isn't seized right now, and we're not able to basically get the phone. We'd have to escalate this further,
Yeah.
which means your daughter will get arrested.
For what?
And then
Viewing a
only
social media post? Is that
I
a...
need to go with
Yeah.
that in order.
Okay, so there's quite a bit there. I think what they're talking about is allegation malicious communications, but we don't know that because obviously the video's been edited. We don't actually know what. It sounds ridiculous. Viewing a social media post, therefore you're going to arrest my daughter, and you telling her to seize the phone. One thing what the officers said, which I don't agree with, is if you don't let us seize your daughter's phone, this will be escalated. That's a bit of an abusive process. I mean, I personally don't like that. To me, if there was enough necessity that the phone had to be seized, you'd be looking at an arrest, and that would be part of your justification for an arrest, for a prompt and effective investigation to prevent evidence going missing. If somebody willingly hands over their phone, it's okay. Well, what if it's locked with a PIN code? You would have to ask for that PIN code, and if they refuse, well, then would you arrest them because they refuse the PIN code? And saying that if you don't give me the phone, that can then lead to an arrest. Like, I don't really agree with that. And then they said about a voluntary interview, which means that there isn't enough urgency or risk to say you have to be arrested now, but yet they want to seize the phone. So both aren't really true. They both can't be true at the same time. If the incident is so urgent and so severe that the police need that phone immediately to prevent loss of evidence, then surely you would arrest somebody or you would bring them down to the station to then interview them then and there, rather than a voluntary interview, which would insinuate that there isn't as much urgency or risk. So then why would you need to seize the phone? Interesting. So the officers now look like they're
No,
about to go
absolutely
inside.
not.
What can we do to
No.
prevent destruction of evidence?
Okay, so to, like she said there, so prevent the destruction of evidence. So to me, it would be that the person would need to be arrested. The person would need to be arrested in order to seize the phone. And you can't do the thing what I've seen people do in the past, where it's you arrest somebody, you then seize the phone, and then you de-arrest them, and then you voluntarily interview them later. That is an abusive process. You can't do that. So I didn't go to West Midlands Police, but I'm looking at the collar number now. I've no idea whether this officer's been in 5 minutes or 5 years or 50 years. Another thing you also have to think is that a lot of officers now on the front line, certainly on response, have under 5 years service. Majority of them have under 5 years service. So this could be a officer with a tutor. One of these could still be in the probation. Another thing is what power of entry they're using. So there's only certain offences you can enter somebody's house in. If this is harassment without causing fear or distress, then that is a summary only offence. Therefore, they do not have a power of entry. If this is malicious communications, that is called an either way offence. The issue we have now is if the officers have entered the premises and it is a summary only offence, they're there illegally, meaning that anything they seize is actually, it's admissible in court. You can't use it because it was obtained illegally, if you get me.
I'm sorry.
Lisa,
Unfortunately.
That's fine. I would like you to leave now. I'd like you to leave.
This is why you're
Okay, I have nothing more to say to you.
here for.
A social media post. I've got nothing more to say. I'd like you to leave. You've harassed this child enough. I'd like you to leave.
This video was sponsored by my best-selling police memoir, The Job's Fuck Secret Diary of a Police Officer. After 10 years in the police service, I finally left and I decided I need to speak out. This book does a deep dive into police corruption, the real reason why the police force is falling apart, and things you will never hear in the mainstream media. You can check it out in the link in the description of this video. You could also grab some merchandise and support me on Patreon. And now, without further ado, enjoy the video.
That's no worries.
Okay, so quite naturally, that looks like a very inflammatory video. And as you can imagine, it's gone crazy viral. I think last time I looked, it had 5.5 million views because people feel that the police are just coming into the house over looking at a social media post. In this case, police officers turn up to the home for somebody looking at a social media post to then either threaten to arrest the person and to then go and seize their phone. As we saw a quick video there, quick clip of the officer walking up the stairs, presumably to where the daughter is. Then it cuts to when they've potentially taken the phone. But like I said, we don't know. We don't know the full context of this because it is a very heavily edited and clipped video. If it is a case of someone's posted something on social media, I personally don't think that that should be an arrestable offence under freedom of speech and freedom of expression. That said, if you are calling for the death of people and violence towards other people, then okay, more robust action needs to be taken because you're crossing that criminal threshold. Unfortunately, what we're seeing now a lot of is you post something online, somebody finds it offensive, therefore the police come knocking on your door threatening to lock you up. Or as we saw recently with a lady who was a cancer patient who posted something online to do with Donald Trump, I believe. She had the police knocking on her door saying, let's get you to sign this to say that you are culpable and you're guilty, then that means we won't need to go to court later down the line. But you are still accepting fault, you are still accepting guilt for something which somebody has found offensive. I don't think from what they're saying this is the same case. But again, I can see why cases like this can be quite inflammatory. Cases like this can certainly hit the media quite hard, but we have to have our eyes open with things like this because this is obviously a very heavily edited video. I believe the full video is about 10 minutes long. We're seeing a minute 23 of an exchange. And of course, if you don't really like the police, it's easy to go, oh, all cops are bastards, and look at them booking the Stasi and the Gestapo again. So what I really wanted to see was I wanted to see the law which was broken. Was it harassment? Was it stalking? Was it malicious communication? I also want to see what power they're entering the house under because police officers don't have to have a warrant to enter somebody's home, providing it is for, like I said, a specific offence. And I also want to see if the phone was seized and just a bit more context because there's no way them cops are there just because somebody's viewed a social media post. That's just not true. The police wouldn't arrive for that. The police knock on people's door for some pretty stupid things, in my opinion. But viewing a social media post, I just don't think that's true. So here we have a article from the Independent who says that we are aware of reports that we are investigating a child for viewing a social media post. That is completely incorrect. They said in the statement, we are investigating after a complaint from a member of the public that a fake social media account has been created in their name and has been used to send indecent images. The offence being investigated is one of the Minister's communications, sending indecent or grossly offensive communication to cause distress or anxiety. The messages are of an incredibly serious nature and have caused serious concern for the victim. Officers made a number of attempts to speak to the suspect, a teenage girl, at her home address in Warsaw earlier this month as part of the investigation. They said officers had spoken to the girl's mother at her home on September the 13th and explained they needed to speak to their daughter and recover a mobile phone as part of the investigation. The following day, the girl attended the police station for a voluntary interview and the investigation continues. We are aware of the brief and heavily edited video clip showing part of the 13th of September visit. The clip is misleading. We have reviewed a 10-minute body-worn footage recording showing the full exchange. If you enjoy these kind of conversations, then why not become a Patreon? You can support me for as little as $4.99 a month. As a Patreon, you'll get advanced access to videos, articles, behind the scenes footage, and more. For just the price of a coffee a month, you can help me bring these important conversations to the world. Just simply click the link in the description or scan this QR code right here. So this is what I'm saying when it comes to being skeptical about the things you see online. Like, that wasn't the full exchange. We clearly saw it wasn't the full exchange. So I think if you're going to post something like that, you have to post it in its entirety. Otherwise, you trying to mislead people to present a certain narrative about these officers in this case. My concern is I hope that the officers don't get in this shit because of this edited video. That wouldn't be fair. And that's why the officers have the body worn footage, camera, and everything else to show the full exchange. And I just hope that if the officers have done everything correct and the video shows a different perspective, that the officers don't get in the shit from professional standards and everything else. Because Lord knows professional standards like to jump on cops for anything. However, when it comes to offences like harassment and stalking, there is often a cyber element. I think 99% of the cases now have a cyber element. So social media, messages, fake profiles, everything else are involved. So then it makes it much more serious. But then it changes it from they're not just posting something on social media or they're not just sending a nasty message. This is a sustained attack on somebody, a sustained invasion of privacy, which is obsessive, fixated, unwanted, and repetitive. It's much more severe than just posting something online or sending someone a post online. I don't think you should be arrested for posting things online, like I said, unless they are grossly gratuitous in nature. And also when it comes to the Malicious Communication Act, we also have to look at the ambiguity of the wording as well. So it says grossly offensive. Now, what does that mean? Okay, does the common man believe that this is going to be grossly offensive? Okay, so in the actual wording of the law, we can see what it means, but that can be interpreted multiple different ways. One thing one person might see and view really as offensive, one person might view and go, oh, that's actually quite funny, or that's not that bad. So it depends on the sensibilities of the person actually investigating it and viewing the material as to whether that criminal threshold has then been crossed. And unfortunately, we don't know the full context of this. We don't know whether the person's phone was seized. We also don't know why the phone was seized if they were then going to voluntarily interview them later. It doesn't make much sense to me why that happened. Usually you would arrest somebody and then seize their phone, or you would do other things to get that data without seizing their phone. But the thing that you're not being told about why the police are so overzealous when it comes to online speech and online messages and online crimes is because it's an easy detection. You've got all the evidence there in front of you. You have the message, you have the person's account that sent it, and you have a statement from the victim saying that was really offensive and that really upset me. So, like we've seen, you can either now sign this piece of paper to say you are culpable and you have done it, then the police get an easy detection, or we can go to court. And chances are, a lot of the time, the court will generally throw things out if they're not too severe. Sometimes they can be really severe and the court can throw things out. But the police go for it for an easy detection because it doesn't require much legwork. It's a fairly easy thing to investigate because it's all time stamped, it's all there in black and white. If the police just go sign that, generally the fear of being prosecuted is enough to make people go, oh shit, I'm really sorry, I didn't realize. There you go. Oh great, police get a tick in the box, happy days. So that's why there's so much emphasis on these sorts of crimes, is because there is the detections and it makes the police force look better. Rather than dealing with the more severe crimes that people actually want the police to deal with, such as your burglaries, your thefts, your knife crimes, your domestic abuse, more complex and resource heavy crimes. Well, if it's just a case of how many detections do we have, you're going to go for the more low hanging fruit more viciously rather than the more complicated cases, which people actually give more of a shit about. So there you are. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of reaction content, make sure you give a subscribe and a like and drop me a comment. Let me know what you thought about it. And why not check out this video here? YouTube says you'll love it.